After 8 months of testimony, we've reached the end of the trial of the serial killer known as the Zombie Hunter. Prosecutors today wrapped up their closing arguments in the penalty phase.
Brian Patrick Miller is waiting to learn if he'll be sentenced to life in prison or death for the 1990s canal murders of Angela Brasso and Melanie Bernis. The decision is now in the hands of the judge. True Crime Arizona's Brianna Whitney has been covering this case for years, and Brianna, this was really the prosecution's last chance to try to sway the judge.
Yeah, after so many months, too. I mean, that's exactly right. Yesterday, we covered the defense's closing remarks. Today, the lead prosecutor not mincing any words when telling the judge that Brian Patrick Miller deserves to die. And for the first time ever, we saw a piece of evidence today that helped lead to his guilty conviction.
Killing them aroused, planning to kill them aroused him, and he stole the memories that they would have had.
A sexual sadist and manipulator. Words prosecutor Vincent Bordino used in court Thursday to describe Brian Patrick Miller, the man convicted of the infamous Phoenix Canal murders of Angela Brasso and Melanie Bernis. In Bordino reminding the judge of some of the most damning evidence against the man who was once known to the public as the Zombie Hunter.
His semen was found inside of these two women. The plan was discovered because his mother turned it into the police.
That plan, we heard about for months, is a document Miller wrote about how he would abduct, sexually assault, and murder a woman, a fantasy he had. For the first time, a picture of the plan was shown in court, the description so graphic, we had to blur the entire piece of paper. And though earlier this week Miller expressed to the judge his remorse for how long this process has gone, something stood out to the prosecution and victims' families.
I didn't hear him say he was remorseful for killing Melanie and Angela. I didn't hear those words.
Miller's defense attorney, R.J. Parker, detailed the abuse from Miller's mother and his mental health struggles throughout the trial, making one final plea to the judge for a life in prison sentence.
I started by saying that Brian's life was in your hands. No truer words can be spoken at this moment because they shortly will. Please give meaning to the humanity in everything that you have learned about Brian.
But the prosecution ending with these words, pointed and poignant.
Angela and Melanie didn't get to choose when they died. They didn't get to choose the day, the hour, the moment. This defendant deserves to know the day, the hour.
The judge will now go over everything she's heard during this penalty phase to decide whether she will sentence Brian Patrick Miller to death or to life in prison. She told the court today her plan and goal is to deliver that sentence on June 7th. And part of the reason she's waiting is to make sure the victims' families are able to be here for the end of all of this.
It is such a heavy weight on this one person, this judge, because it's all been up to her. There's no jury in this case, as you've been reporting. What do you think will weigh most on her mind as she makes this decision, life or death?
Right. So it was a little bit different, this phase of the trial, than what happened before the verdict. This time, the victim impact statements were very powerful from Angela's mom and from Melanie Bernis' sister. I mean, that was the first time we had heard them talk about the pain that they've endured for 30 years. I know that the judge was listening to those, but Brian Patrick Miller also spoke to the judge and was, saying, I accept my fate, but I have a daughter and there's things I still want to be able to live for. So he even pleaded his case too. So both of those moments were powerful, and I think the judge will probably take that into effect and take that into consideration. But she has a while to do so, and we're talking 8 months of everything to decide whether he'll live.
Fascinating that the trial was really about sort of procedure and evidence, and this part is really about pain.
And emotion, from every party here. So yeah, it was interesting, and you heard his words there. I mean, they were powerful, no doubt.
June 7th, she said.
That's
June
the goal.
7th.
Yeah, we can never quite predict what's going to happen in court, but we know this is coming to an end soon.
All right, Brianna, thanks.